everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and some interesting news coming out as of recently. India and Chinese troops clashing along the Himalayan border, and it resulted in rocks being thrown and quite a few people being injured on either side, and it isn't what you'd expect. I mean, most people, yes, there have been disputes between India and China over the years, 1962, 1967, 1987, specifically 1962 regarding the disputing of this exact area, and we have seen a lot of clashes over this in the past. But, John, can you go into exactly what happened?
Yeah, well, what happened was that they just, were patrolling. Now, what you got to remember is this part of the region is actually, it's controlled by China, but it's claimed by India. So, very interesting there in the first place. So, being a border guard myself, like up in Russia and Norway there, I know how, intense it could be on both sides, but it's never like, this is like insane, like they're actually attacking each other, nothing, like even Russia and Norway, like people are just, never even pointing guns at each other, like that's how, good the borders are up in Russia and Norway there, but then you look at this, like they're literally attacking each other because this area is disputed, because of course India has claimed this place, and of course China is patrolling and they're trying to get in, and then of course Indians are trying to get them back out, because what would happen if for example Norwegians were going into and crossing over to the Russian border in Norway, well, we would actually get brought into the border station. It would be hell on earth, basically, if you did that, because you don't cross the border either way. Any of the guys, and this,
you just spy on each other.
Yeah, just spy on each other, of course, all the time. But now, when it comes to this is interesting, because this lake that they're disputing, this area around it, it's called Pangong Tso. It's actually a lake that runs all the way around China and India, but the end of that lake, interestingly enough, it actually ends up in Nepal. So what is interesting with that, of course, is that it's this is a very tactical point that they always want to get throughout history, and that's why there's been several wars. Like there's been 2 wars there, the Sino-Indian War, which actually had the Chinese actually successfully getting control over the area at October 20th, 1962, and then I believe there was another dispute in the 80s, in 87, I believe, that we were looking at here, where they actually took it kind of back, the claim of that land. Now, what you got to remember, I read a book called The Revenge of Geography, which actually talks about different places around the world that you always have wars happening, and it's because of this geographical topography. It's of course a lake that's full of commodities and so on, and of course the location of it militarily is makes sense for both sides to be able to control it. So that's why you have Russia and of course the Crimea Peninsula, and having that they have their port there because they have access to the Black Sea, and then through the Black Sea they would have access to the Mediterranean. So it's all tactical play here, and of course India and China wants it. So now who knows, with all these all this forth and back between North Korea and the US and everything that's happening, if they attack each other, who suddenly, like, you look at somebody else wanting to do stuff.
Well, okay, first of all, I'm going to say I really doubt that they will end up attacking each other, India and China. I don't think that will happen. I mean, I'm just looking at things like, for example, in Russia and the United States. Between Russia and Alaska, you see a lot of really close calls, and people freak out, but it's been happening for a long time, where Russian fighter jets and U.S. fighter jets will fly side by side and kind of fly at each other, and the other one kind of threatening.
This happens in Norway all the time because you got international airspace.
And they'll flip each other off out the window and then go their separate ways. I think this might not be something worthy of making a prediction of any sort of violent conflict, but it's really childish to watch these guys that are supposed to be of high stature throwing rocks and stones at each other. It's just ridiculous. But I also want to make the call for Viet-Jedlicka to come and claim this disputed territory and end it all, bring peace to China and India, because of course Viet-Jedlicka is the president of Liberland, our friend here at WAM. He took over disputed territory between Serbia and Croatia a couple years ago to find the nation, the Free Republic of Liberland.
The problem is it's not really disputed because India has claimed it, though.
Yeah, they can. It's just, it comes down to these stupid border disputes. They're so ridiculous, and I really don't think anything much is going to come of it. But of course, we see these revamps of conflicts of days past over and over and over again, where it causes a lot of
about
fighting.
Geography and resources, Josh.
This is my part of the soccer field. It's like recess at school. This is my part. Only we're allowed in this area. No, we are.
As I said, like looking from a militarily aspect, like it's a tactical place to have a base, right? So that's the major thing here, that the reason why they were attacking each other forth and back for this area.
Well, it's funny because both India and China are so technocratic, and they're both such a globalist power, and I meant to say globalist because they are heavily entrenched within the whole global economic structure, the IMF, the Bank of International Settlements, this push for a cashless society.
Well, the problem is that you got all of these massive, states. China and India is the biggest states in the world. Like, they got massive amounts of population, over 1 billion in both of them, right? So what you're seeing is, of course, everybody has greed in nation states, right? Yeah. So that's the big problem, is they want to have their state being, bigger or whatever. And then, of course, we got all this military-industrial complex around the world, wanting to make money. So, of course, they need those attacks on each other. And that's what they're pushing for, this United Nations, so they could have this big, massive, one global government instead, where they could, cooperate the elites at the top instead of attacking each other.
Yeah, it's all about this. My country is bigger than yours. My country. I just find it so dumb and pointless, and it's all
about greed, man.
It's all about greed. It always is. It's all about money. It's always about control and servitude of the populace, and it always comes down to that very simple point. Thanks for going into this with us, John. Well, we might do some more on this subject in the future. It depends. I mean, it depends where it goes. I'm sure this was kind of a one-off conflict because there are bigger issues in the world than them throwing rocks and stones at each other. But who knows? I mean, the whole world is a crazy place, and you never know what's going to happen next. But we'll be reporting on it. So until next time, check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube. It's gotten bad, folks. The Anti-Defamation League has come in and basically muzzled all independent medias that are right of Mao, and that says a lot. Obviously, we aren't on the right or the left. We are outside of that spectrum, but that doesn't matter to them because talking about freedom is apparently hate speech today. Go figure. It's 2017, folks. And also check our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And also check me out at Josh Sigurdson. Check John out at The Economic Truth. At steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, as the dinosaur of social media buries itself in its own grave, as it censors people and pushes people away. Steemit.com offers the ability for you to blog and post and make money, cryptocurrency, off your blogging posts via the demand and the upvote. Also check out John's new book, Canada, the Greatest Economy in the World, at Amazon.com. And we hope you check that out. It's a great book, and you don't need to be Canadian to read it. It breaks down the issues, the problems, and what the solutions are for those problems, and not in a Hegelian dialectic kind of way of problem, reaction, solution, repeat. So please check that book out at Amazon.com. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.